born from freedom.
Yeah.
You see, early on in my young adult life, I had the mindset that everything I was doing was what was serving God,
Yeah.
and I was trying to be exalted through my service
Yes.
of God,
Absolutely.
or what I could bring forth for God through the ability He gave me.
We've all been there.
Right? That's what I lived with. That's what I lived with. But see, anything I could have done from that perspective would not have been born from freedom.
No.
Nor would it have been born from the tree of life.
Right.
It would have been born from my fornication with the flesh.
Yes, right.
Right? And so God wasn't going to come and like help me to fornicate with the flesh. Right? He didn't leave me or reject me, but He wasn't like, yeah, let's do that. Right? And so a period of time went by where He was busy working freedom in my heart. And I had concluded, well, I guess there'll be no ministry. All right. I don't have some incessant need to be up front and center. So glory to God, I'll work this finance job, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Becky and I get paid a lot of money.
That's right.
We got a nice big house. We can buy whatever we want. Look at all my nice suits. I can buy whatever car I want and go on whatever vacation I want. I'll just sit here and do this. See, but I had concluded, because I wasn't doing all these things, quote unquote, for God.
Yeah.
Really, I would have been doing it for myself. Because if you think you're doing it so you can move up the totem pole in God's eyes, you're actually doing it for yourself.
Exactly.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're actually
right.
doing it for yourself.
Yes.
And so I just thought that meant, no, I'm not going to do any ministry. No, God was busy setting my heart free. So then something could come forth from our union. But I didn't understand all that back then. Right? So then He sets me free, and then out of our freedom in our union together, something was born. I had to let us go and minister. I had that moment when I was 5 years old. Let us say something to these people that can set them free and bring them life. Right? Him and I had that conversation when I was a little kid. And then he's been working it the whole time. And now that let us manifest it.
Yeah.
Right? Let us get up and go back to Slidell and start a church. And even then, when I first heard that, the idea sounded nice, but I thought, well, we don't have the resources to do that. So seriously, I mean, that's what I thought. Well, I need $50,000. We just bought this house. It's in the middle of the first 2 months of the Great Recession. How are we going to sell this house? Your plan's out, buddy. You know? And then 1 month later, the guy comes in and says, listen, we're shutting down the company.
Yeah.
And we're paying all the managers 4 weeks of severance for every year they've been with the company.
Yeah.
I've been there 15 years. And I had a nice big fat salary because I was a manager. Becky had been there 11 years. She had a nice big fat salary because she was a manager. So that $50,000 that I told God we needed, we got more than that just in my severance. And I just started grinning in the meetings, just thinking, how can this be? How can that be? Because listen, I loved the guy who owned the company, and the guy was always good to me. So please understand, this is not a negative word about that guy. I have my own weaknesses, but his weaknesses is money. Because he was raised as a little boy to be afraid of the government coming and taking his money. And the government created a dynamic where they would convince the poor people that the rich people were the SOBs that were causing them problems. So he lived with this fear that not only would the government come to take his money, but that the government would get all the people who didn't have money to hate him and want to kill him. And so this whole thing was born in front of his face. But it's outside of this guy to give 4 weeks of severance because of that fear. This was his own money. It wasn't like a corporate entity in the sense that it didn't involve personal people. This was his family's money.
Wow.
Right? And you can almost see him like, what am I saying as I'm saying it? I'm giving them 4 weeks of severance because that's outside of the norm. He'd have been very gracious just to give us 2 weeks.
Right.
He'd have been very gracious just to give us 4 months of severance. He went above and beyond that, you know, and it was God. And so I just get this big smile on my face like, unbelievable, I guess we're going back to Slidell. but then we still had the house to sell.
Yeah.
And so we put the house up on the market immediately, thinking it's going to take at least 2 or 3 years. That's how long it's going to take for us to collect out the loans because we're a finance company. And the house sold in a month. The realtor even told us that there was no way the house was going to sell right now. Sold in a month. Boom.
Wow.
And then it sold for $400,000. And because it was the time where the real estate market was crumbling and they were starting to prosecute people for their appraisals, and they were starting to like threaten to throw appraisers in jail, they came in and underappraised our house by $25,000
Wow.
because they didn't want to risk it.
Yeah.
That blew up that whole contract.
Sure.
The people still wanted it.
Wow.